Ranger Russ from the Meg's Point Nature Center, coming to you today from Meg's Beach here at Hammonasset. Now we're getting into the time for jellyfish season, and we've already started having jellyfish show up on our beach. So I'm going to talk today about our lion's mane jellyfish, which is the jellyfish that can sting you. Before we get into that though, I need to remind everybody that the Meg's Point Nature Center is currently closed. You can view these videos and more on our website, megspointnaturecenter.org's virtual learning center. I'm also going to ask, we're really close to 10,000 people following us on Facebook, so I'm going to ask everybody to like us and follow us on Facebook. We're going to try and break that 10,000 number. Okay, so lion's mane jellyfish. Let's do this. We're going to look after I flip the camera. I have caught a couple of jellyfish in the bucket here. You can see them swimming around. These are, again, lion's mane jellyfish. And they have that distinctive red coloring. That's how they get the name lion's mane. Now, these are absolutely amazing jellyfish. They only live a year, okay? But in a year, their tentacles can get to be, the record for a tentacle, 121.4 feet long. That is a massive tentacle for a jellyfish. Now, these jellyfish can sting. And the way they do that, normally you do not want to pick them up. But I'm going to just pick it up so that you can take a close look at those tentacles. A jellyfish has no brain, no heart, no bones, no real digestive system, no respiratory system. They are made up of nerves and water, mostly water. They cannot control what they sting. They have stinging cells, pneumatoids. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Oh, now I've got some tentacles stuck to me. So, those tentacles, if you think of them as little stinging capsules, just a little circle, that's the cell. Inside is a coiled up stinger, like a harpoon with venom. Whenever anything brushes on the outside of that cell, they have a trigger. It's just a little protrusion. When anything touches the trigger, the harpoon is fired into, usually it's prey, but not always. Again, they don't have a brain. They are not selective about what they sting. Their stingers fire into anything that touches them. So when something touches that stinger, it fires the harpoon, injects its venom, and pulls, then it retracts those tentacles in. The prey is stung or paralyzed by the venom. There are many different kinds of jellyfish, and they use many different forms of venom, but then they draw them in and then they digest them right outside of their body. They have sort of stomach cells as well, which they will use to digest their prey items. That means that when a tentacle gets broken, if the tentacles break off, especially when there are waves, so I don't know if you guys can hear, there are waves crashing right on me right now. I think we had a boat go by, because that's a lot of waves. When those tentacles break off, the cells are still able to fire. 48 to 72 hours after a tentacle is broken off or after a jellyfish dies, the tentacles can still fire their stingers off. So remember, they don't have a brain, they have a nervous system, and those tentacles are able to function normally whether they're attached to the jellyfish or not. Now with these jellyfish, their tentacles are long. I already said, over 100 feet long. Their body, the bell of the jellyfish, which is this portion right here, across here, that can get 7.5 feet across. So imagine this part of the jellyfish right here being longer, taller than I am. All right, just that. And then the tentacles 100 feet long. Imagine swimming in the water and having one of these stinging tentacles brush against you. It would just be a stripe of red irritation from the stinger, okay? If the tentacle breaks off, it's the same thing. It will be a stinger just brushing against you and firing its stinging cells. But imagine if you're a fish. This is the predatory life of a jellyfish. They are swimming, undulating through the water. That you can see, that's what they're doing now. They actually do swim, and they do move around. The jellyfish will swim through the water, and it will have these 100-foot-long tentacles stretching out behind it, just trying to touch any sort of fish or prey item that it would be able to eat. This is an animal that is just built for eating and then reproducing, because they do produce polyps and they can reproduce. Another name for jellyfish, all right, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a little tiny mole crab swimming around in the bucket. I must have scooped it up from the sand when I scooped up the jellyfish. It just went under the jellyfish. I hope you guys can see it. But it is less than a centimeter. It's about a half a centimeter long. So it is a tiny, tiny little critter. And I'm going to see if I can catch it. I do plan on doing an entire, and I am getting stung a little bit, but that's okay. I plan on doing a whole program on these little mole crabs. It's so tiny, I don't know where it went. It's not on my hand though. Okay, so if you want to see the mole crab program, make sure you watch in the future, because I'm going to find some bigger ones that are actually easier to pick up. And there it goes, it's swimming around again. All right, I really doubt you guys will be able to see it through the camera. Okay, what we're going to do, let me take just a moment and see if we have any questions. Someone says, I got stung at Long Beach in Lordship once. It hurt. It does hurt. And remember, the jellyfish isn't stinging you because it wants to try and eat you or because it doesn't like you. It is just its natural response to anything that touches it. And I don't know if I mentioned, but these jellyfish only live a year, and those tentacles can get over 100 feet in 1 year. That's the part that always impresses me. Are they starting to return in bigger numbers at this time? Yes, we are starting to see more jellyfish at this time. We get a big spike in August, and then we get another big spike in January. But most people aren't swimming in January, so they don't have to worry about jellyfish in January. But this is the time where they are reproducing, so we're seeing a lot more of them. Now, typically these fish are out in the deep, cold water of the Atlantic. They are actually found in the Pacific as well. So they come into shallower water when it's time to reproduce, and that's why we see them at this time of the year. I was on the Black River in Old Lyme last Saturday morning. There were many jellyfish swimming along. So they are typically a saltwater species, but they will go up into the brackish water rivers and streams along the coast of Connecticut. So you could definitely encounter them at that time. Why are they out so early this year? So they do not have an exact timetable. August and January is typically when we see more, but there are times that we will see them the entire summer. There are times that we don't see many even in August. So their populations will change and fluctuate, and they are on sort of a timetable, but that's not 100% timetable for them. All right, what I would like to do, I was going to put them in the water, but we're getting some pretty big wave action right now, so you won't get to see them swimming along. I'm going to try and get them out into deeper water. But when they swim, they're basically doing what they're doing there. But when the waves start to break around them, they can actually smash them. They can break off the tentacles as the waves slam them into the ground. And there are many times that we'll get people being stung with jellyfish when they don't even see the jellyfish. And that's because those tentacles are getting broken off. We won't see a jellyfish with that 7-foot bell here in the Sound typically, especially here at Hammonasset. I've seen them up to about 9 inches. Here in other places, like out on Mesquamaket, I've seen them 12 to 14 inches across. But these are just young ones here. These are small ones. And they can sting you when you pick them up. I can feel it mostly between my fingers where the tentacles went. It's not terrible right now. I've already rubbed sand into it. If you do get stung by a jellyfish, white vinegar is the best remedy. It neutralizes the sting very quickly, makes you feel a lot better in a hurry. Ruth says her 8-year-old daughter says they can still sting when dead. Is that? Yes, we talked about that. They will sting 24 to 72 hours after they're dead. They can still sting you. So not a very nice thing. If you see a dead jellyfish, you don't want to go and pick them up. How do you find them? These, I got really lucky. We just walked to the shore and there were 2 of them floating right as soon as we hit the beach. And I'm looking to see if there are more. Very often we get tubeweed that washes up. It's a red seaweed and it really resembles the red color of the lion's mane, and it's a very thin seaweed. So it looks like. All right. Any other questions? Are they good in an aquarium? They are mesmerizing to watch. Very good question. They typically, you have to modify your aquarium if you're going to keep them because they will get sucked into a filter. So you need to have low water movement to keep them in a filter. The amount of water movement that we have in our tanks, we're moving a lot of water through the filter, so not really good for them. They would get sucked into the filter. I have kept them in the old nature center when we had much smaller filters. I've kept them for a time. Got to watch them eat. Was really fascinating. You can't even really tell that they're eating actually when they're doing it, but it's pretty neat. Someone says we tried to go to Camp Harkness and there were too many to swim. Definitely there are times a year that you will have that issue with so many of them being out there. Somebody says my 2-year-old daughter is very excited to see them. That's awesome. If a person gets stung, what can they do? So if you don't have white vinegar, I rub sand in. The sand really pulls the stingers out. It just like sands off the stingers, and then you're going to want to get that white vinegar onto your skin. That does a great job. And someone's saying that they carry a bottle of the spray vinegar. That works really well. That's a great thing to have on you if you're swimming at the beach. And all right, we have one that has washed up, and actually if you look, you can see how broken. This one's even larger. The tentacles look pretty mangled, so it's probably been bashed in the waves. I've mentioned in other programs, and again, you can see the other programs on our YouTube channel, Meg's Point Nature Center YouTube channel, or on in the virtual learning center at megspointnaturecenter.org. But if you notice, the current is pushing to my right, which is to the west. This is the typical summer current, and that's why the jellyfish is going to get moved to the west as I watch it. And then in the wintertime, the main force of the current is pushing the opposite direction. It'll be going to the east. But there you can see how the tentacles will get mangled, how getting bashed against the shore is really not going to be good for them. So we don't really do anything to try and control them here at Hammonasset. Once they're washed up on the beach and dead, our beach sweeper that we have to clean the beach, it will pick up bodies of jellyfish. We will sometimes, if we get a lot of them, we'll try and bury them on the beach. But this is a state park, and we encourage people to just interact safely with nature. We're not going to try and get rid of the animals, even if they can be a nuisance sometimes. Like some of the horseflies that get out here sometimes. Those are just the things that you have to accept if you're visiting our state parks. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about Hammonasset. We've been closing a lot lately. If the park closes and you find out, please don't try and come to the park if we're closed. We get a lot of traffic down here. There are lots of other great parks you can visit, and I would encourage you to go to one of those. You can visit CTDEEP and find another park to visit. All right, let's see if we have any other questions. We're going to let that guy drift away. Oh, he's not getting bashed by the waves right now, so you can kind of see he's swimming naturally. It looks like he's trying to go back out. And I shouldn't say he, because they are not boys or girls. All right. Do we have any other questions before we let these guys go and I wrap it up? Someone's asking if this is what they saw on Sunday. Probably. We do have other jellyfish here. We get comb jellies and moon jellies, but they don't get this large and they're clear. They don't get that reddish color. So if you're seeing a jellyfish with coloring, then it is probably a lion's mane jellyfish. The water is pretty clear today, isn't it? Do they lay eggs? They release, I'm not sure if technically it's called an egg, but yes, they release them and then they have external fertilization. Okay, I have a question about, are you guys checking the water? Was there the other day, every time we get in the water, it was very itchy. Why is that? So I'm not sure why that is. We do test our water. The water here at Hammonasset is tested twice a week. If it fails a test, we do close the beach and won't open it again until it passes the test. The itchiness, there could be some irritant. I haven't had it yet this year. Let's see, another question. Do we ever get Portuguese man of war? Very occasionally, we will get a Portuguese man of war in Long Island Sound. I have heard them being out on the Rhode Island beaches, but again, it's more rare here at Hammo or in Long Island Sound, and it's pretty rare out on the Rhode Island beaches as well. Wondering why everyone was itchy around us. We were at Middle Beach. So I know that we haven't failed any of the tests this year. They're testing for bacteria and things like that. There is something called swimmer's itch, but I think you would know if you had that because it doesn't go away very quickly. Okay, I hope I got most of the questions. I see a lot of questions going by. and hopefully we got most of them. So right now I'm going to release these 2 jellies right here. There they go. They're moving away pretty quickly. That is pretty cool. All right, I hope you're all enjoying these waves. And there goes my gimbal, just turned off. What animals eat jellyfish? Great question. They do have to worry, not many fish eat them. They do have to worry about leatherback sea turtles. But other than that, they don't actually have a lot of predators. So I think those stingers are pretty good deterrent. They also, some jellyfish will have smaller organisms living within the tentacles. They develop an immunity, just like a clownfish develops an immunity to anemones. So they can get smaller fish that live with them in the tentacles. All right, so again, this is Ranger Russ coming to you from Meg's Beach here at Hammonasset Beach State Park. I hope you're all enjoying these programs. Tune in Tuesday through Friday at 11 for programs. Until then, this is Ranger Russ signing off.